It's just a bunch of cars going around in circles. At least in my opinion, though, this is going about it all wrong. It's so much bigger, so much grander than 33 cars going around in circles. It's the stories, the history, and the emotion that keep almost 500,000 coming back year after year. If you limit this race to a bunch of cars going around in circles, you miss out on so many moments. Battles for the sport's biggest prize. You miss tears in victory lane as a person's life changes forever.
You just don't know what Indy means.
And you miss the symbol of American freedom that is the largest single-day sporting event on Memorial Day weekend in America's heartland for one event each and every year. You miss moments like Helio Castroneves climbing the fence in 2021 after making history.
Welcome to the four-time club, Helio Castroneves!
You miss moments like 19-year-old Marco Andretti on the brink of breaking a generations-long curse in 2006, only to have the victory snatched away in the blink of an eye.
Who's gonna win? At the stripe! It's Hornish wins!
You miss fan favorite Tony Kanaan finally winning the race that had time and time again bested him.
You're now a winner of the Indianapolis 500, my friend. Great job, Tony!
This is it, man. I made it. Finally, I'm gonna put my ugly face in that trophy.
And you miss what stories will be told about the 108th running of the Indianapolis 500, who will forever be called the champion, and what will be a memory for generations. In simplest terms, I guess it is just a bunch of cars going around in circles. But if you're a fan of a good story, a fantastic one will be written this year. My name is Tristan Fleur, and this is the starting grid as they have qualified for the 108th running of the Indianapolis 500. This is the first time since 1988 that a team has swept the front row of the Indianapolis 500, and both times they've been by Team Penske. 36 years ago, it was Rick Mears, Al Unser Sr., and Danny Sullivan, but this year, Team Penske's been under fire for an illegal use of the push-to-pass system in the season-opening race in St. Petersburg. IndyCar disqualified Joseph Newgarden's win and Scott McLaughlin's podium finish, setting them both behind in points. And Team Penske suspended team president Tim Cindric and other high-ranking staff members for the month of May. This team looks to win an Indianapolis 500 to erase their up-and-down start to the IndyCar season. Starting on the pole with the fastest four-lap qualifying effort in Indianapolis history of 234.22 miles an hour is Christchurch, New Zealand's Scott McLaughlin. This 30-year-old former Australian Supercars champion best start and finish in the Indianapolis 500 is 14th, and already he set a new best start and looks to drive the Yellow Submarine, made famous by their legendary Rick Mears, to victory in his fourth attempt in the greatest spectacle in racing. The middle of the Team Penske sandwich is the best qualifier in the history of the NTT IndyCar Series, but surprisingly has never won a pole for this race. That stat was oh so close to changing this year when his teammate edged him out for P1. The 2018 Indianapolis 500 champion has not won a race since 2022 at Belle Isle, and he's on a mission to change that on the biggest stage. Driving the number 12 Horizon Chevrolet from Toowoomba, Australia, it's Will Power. The reigning Indianapolis 500 champion starts on the outside of row 1. The guy who's been at the center of the push-to-pass controversy looks to block out all the noise with a new strategist in his ear after the suspension of Tim Cindric. Last year, this two-time NTT IndyCar Series champion celebrated amongst the fans after his first win in 12 tries and hopes to make it back-to-back wins for the first time since Helio Castroneves in 2001 and 2002. Driving the number 2 Shell Chevrolet, it's Tennessee's Joseph Newgarden. The inside of row 2 is where you'll find the biggest challenger to the Penske trifecta. He's been outspoken about wanting to beat the 3 in row 1 all month, and he has the skills and a car to do it. In his first 8 Indianapolis 500 starts, this 32-year-old Californian has 6 top 10 finishes, and the 2016 Indianapolis 500 champion has the fire in his eyes that used to make him one of the most feared around the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Driving the number 7 Chevrolet for Arrow McLaren is Alexander Rossi. All eyes will be on the middle of row 2. It's safe to say that this is one of the most anticipated Indianapolis 500 starts ever, and he is attempting to do something that has not happened since Kurt Busch did it 10 years ago, the Memorial Day double. 500 miles in Indianapolis in an IndyCar, and 600 miles in Charlotte in the Coca-Cola 600 in the stock car in the same day. This 31-year-old Californian is one of the best race car drivers in the world, no matter what he's driving, and he's proved that all month, qualifying his number 17 Chevrolet at 232 miles an hour in his first time in an IndyCar. The 2021 NASCAR Cup Series champion has two legends in his ear on race day. 2013 Indianapolis 500 champion and one of the most popular drivers ever in the history of IndyCar, Tony Kanaan, and four-time NASCAR Cup Series champion and five-time Brickyard 400 winner, Jeff Gordon. Driving for Arrow McLaren with Hendrick Motorsports, it's young money, Kyle Larson. Starting on the outside of row 2 is a driver who's driving for a legend. He has also never finished outside the top 10 in the Indianapolis 500, including a third-place finish last year. This young, abrasive 25-year-old has been lightning quick each of the last 2 years here in Indianapolis, and with strategist Michael Cannon on the pit box, that's no surprise. Driving the number 14 Holmes Retreat Chevrolet for four-time Indianapolis 500 champion AJ Foyt Racing, it's Santino Ferrucci. 7th place is the worst starting spot in Rinus VeeKay's Indianapolis 500 career. Not too bad, huh? In his 4 previous Indianapolis 500 starts, Rocket Rinus has started 2nd, 4th, and twice started 3rd. This year was a bit of a challenge, however, with his car being destroyed in a crash during his first qualifying run on the first day of time trials. But the crew rebuilt the car, and he was able to squeeze his way into the Firestone Fast 12. His qualifying pace has been historic over his career, but his race results have left a lot to be desired, with the best finish of 8th in 2021. The 23-year-old from the Netherlands will have to save that speed for the end of the race, and if he can do that, Rinus VeeKay will challenge for the win in the number 21 Chevy for Ed Carpenter Racing. The driver in the middle of row 3 is known as Mr. Fast Hands for his jaw-dropping saves, but he now holds one of the wildest stats in IndyCar history. He won the race at St. Petersburg without leading a single lap. He was awarded the win following the disqualification of Joseph Newgarden, but he wants to win one on track, and a win at the Indianapolis 500 is very possible for this 25-year-old from Monterrey, Mexico. One of the fan favorites of the series has finished in the top 6 in each of his first 3 starts in the Indianapolis 500, including a 2nd-place finish in 2022. Last year, he was running 5th when he crashed late in the race, but this year he wants to taste the milk in victory lane. Driving the number 5 Chevy for Arrow McLaren, it's Pato O'Ward. Starting on the outside of row 3 is the 4th-place finisher in the 2022 Indianapolis 500. This native Swede has been one of the fastest Hondas all month, and this 9th-place start adds to an impressive season of qualifying efforts. In his first attempt at the Indy 500 for Meyer Shank Racing, Felix Rosenqvist looks to pull off a major upset in the number 60 SiriusXM Honda. A 2-time Indianapolis 500 champion starts on the inside of row 4. The first driver from Japan to have won the 500 has put the paddock on notice, being almost unbelievably faster than his Rahal Letterman Lanigan teammates. This 47-year-old is trying to prove age is just a number as he tries to join an exclusive list of 3-time Indianapolis 500 champions. Driving the number 75 Honda is Takuma Sato. The driver starting in the middle of row 4 had one of the most spectacular crashes in recent memory when last year he made contact with an out-of-control Felix Rosenqvist, flipped upside down, and had a tire fly over the catch fence, splitting 2 grandstands and into a nearby parking lot. But this 25-year-old is hoping his first 2 NTT IndyCar Series wins last season can transfer into a win on the world's greatest race course. Driving the number 27 AutoNation Honda for Andretti Global is Jupiter, Florida's Kyle Kirkwood. Starting on the outside of row 4 is the IndyCar driver known as Captain America. This native Texan is the 2012 NTT IndyCar Series champion, but now only races the Indianapolis 500 and is back with the Indy-only team that he was with last year. An epic drive got him into the Firestone Fast 12, and the 2014 Indy 500 champion is hoping to win his 2nd Borg Warner Trophy 10 years after the first. Driving the number 23 for Dreyer and Reinbold Racing, it's Ryan Hunter-Ray. Starting on the inside of row 5 is a driver who got bumped from the Firestone Fast 12 in the closing moments of Saturday's qualifying session, but make no mistake about it, he is one of the best cars in the field. This 24-year-old from Santa Clarita, California is already making his 6th start in the Indianapolis 500 and is looking to find some luck on the world's greatest race course. Driving the number 26 Gainbridge Honda for Andretti Global is Colton Herta. In the middle of row 5 is where you'll find one of the best race car drivers in the world. He's the reigning NTT IndyCar Series champion and was the 2023 Indianapolis 500 pole sitter. He leads the effort of Chip Ganassi Racing, a team that has won 3 consecutive Indianapolis 500 poles, but have struggled to get their Hondas up to expected speed. If you count this 27-year-old Spaniard out, he'll prove that it's a horrible mistake. Looking to improve 1 spot from his second-place finish in 2021, it's the number 10 DHL Honda of Alex Palou. Starting to Palou's outside is the 4th of the Aero McLaren Brigade. This 25-year-old Englishman is fresh off a World Endurance Championship sports car win at the 6 Hours of Spa. Callum Ilott now finds himself in a position to possibly win another historic race. Ilott does have experience at Indianapolis, finishing 12th for Hoonkoos Hollinger last year. This time, he pilots the blue and papaya orange number 6 Chevrolet from the outside of row 5. Row 6 is where you'll find 2 rookies and a veteran. Starting on the inside of row 6 is a rookie who is starting his first career oval race. No pressure, right? Well, he's driving for one of the most successful owners in the history of this race in Chip Ganassi, and is coming fresh off his first career top 5 finish at the Sanzio Grand Prix. Driving the number 11 Ridgeline Honda is a 23-year-old from Christchurch, New Zealand, Marcus Armstrong. A 3-time Indianapolis 500 pole sitter is starting in the middle of row 6. His hometown hero graduated from Butler University and is always one of the loudest ovations during driver intros on race day. He's one of 2 owner drivers in the field and hopes that he can drink the milk in victory lane after driving his own number 20 Guy Care Chevrolet to an Indianapolis 500 triumph. From Indianapolis, Indiana, it's 2018 Indianapolis 500 runner-up, Ed Carpenter. On the outside of row 6, you'll have the fellow rookie teammate of Marcus Armstrong. This 19-year-old is the first driver in the history of the Indianapolis 500 from Barbados and is the reigning LMP2 sports car champion. He caught the eye of Chip Ganassi and now starts his number 4 Journey Rewards Honda. It's Kiffin Simpson. Row 7 has a whopping 62 career Indianapolis 500 starts on it with some historic names. Starting on the inside of row 7 is a driver whose family has been cursed by this track since his grandfather Mario's win in 1969. His father Michael has led the most laps in the Indy 500 without a victory, and at 19 years old in 2006, Marco Andretti was leading on the final lap of his first attempt at breaking the family curse, only to be passed in the final 100 yards by Sam Hornish Jr. Marco is now 37 and has 4 Indianapolis 500 podium finishes, but no wins. He looks to change that this year in his number 98 Mapei Honda for Andretti Herta Autosport. The driver in the middle of row 7 is chasing history. In 2021, Elio Castroneves won his 4th Indianapolis 500, tying AJ Foyt, Al Unser, and Rick Mears for the most all-time. In 2024, Elio had the same quiet confidence that he had before his win in 2021, and he is now a minority owner of the team he drives for. The fan favorite 48-year-old from Sao Paulo, Brazil, tries to win a record 5th Indianapolis 500 in the number 06 Cliffs Honda for Meyer Shank Racing. A guy with another curse starts on the outside of row 7. Since his win in 2008, this 5-time Indianapolis 500 pole sitter and 6-time NTT IndyCar Series champion has been snake-bitten at the Speedway. After a quiet month, the 43-year-old who has led the most laps ever at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway hopes to put his face on the Borg Warner Trophy for a second time. Driving the familiar blue and orange number 9 PNC Bank Honda for Chip Ganassi Racing, it's the Iceman, Auckland, New Zealand's Scott Dixon. The driver starting on the inside of row 8 was on a monster qualifying attempt with 2 laps that's average would have put him in the Firestone Fast 12 when a dreaded plenum fire in the engine intake halted his run, meaning that his car, nicknamed the Titan, will start in 22nd. This Argentinian looks to improve on his maiden Indianapolis 500 finish of 26th last year. Piloting the number 78 Chevrolet for Hoonkoos Hollinger Racing, it's Augustin Canapino. Another sophomore driver starts to Canapino's outside. This 22-year-old from Boise, Idaho has the best name in the NTT IndyCar Series. This year, he's trying to improve his best finish of 31st and make his legendary car owner proud. Driving the number 41 Goodhart Chevrolet for AJ Foyt Racing, it's Stingray Robb. On the outside of row 8, this youngster has shown solid speed all month and looks to impress for a team that knows what it's like to go fast at the world's greatest race course. This 23-year-old is the 2023 Indy Next Series champion, is making his Indy 500 debut. Driving the number 33 Chevrolet for Ed Carpenter Racing from Copenhagen, Denmark, it's Christian Rasmussen. Starting on the inside of row 9 is a guy who's thoroughly enjoyed the challenge of being a rookie at the Indianapolis 500 and will drive his first career oval race when he starts the 108th running of the greatest spectacle in racing. This Englishman drives the number 66 Arctic Wolf Honda, and his name is Tom Blomqvist. The middle of row 9 is where the Phoenix starts his third Indianapolis 500. This Frenchman is a veteran of Formula One and has had a steep learning curve at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway with a best finish of 30th last year. But he's driving for a new team this year, Hunkos Hollinger Racing. Driving the number 78 Chevrolet is Roman Grosjean. Another rookie starts on the outside of row 9, and the big story about this 25-year-old Swede is that his career was in jeopardy at this time last year. After an injury to Simon Pagenaud at Mid-Ohio led to this guy filling in and qualifying well in some of the final races of the season, it was enough to catch the attention of Chip Ganassi. And Ganassi was rewarded for his attention as this rookie finished third at Barber last month. His welcome to Indianapolis wasn't so warm, however, as he crashed in the first week of practice. Driving the number 8 American Legion Honda is Linus Lundqvist. Starting on the inside of row 10 is a Danish driver who's making his third Indianapolis 500 start and who currently sits 9th in NTT IndyCar Series points. He's fresh off a third-place finish at the Indianapolis Road Course earlier this month and won his first race last season on the streets of Toronto. Driving the number 45 Hy-Vee Honda for Rahal Letterman Lanigan Racing, it's Christian Lundgaard. In the middle of row 10 is where you'll find one of the most popular drivers in recent memory at the Indianapolis 500. He's running an Indy-only schedule this year and hopes to leverage this effort into a full-time ride in the future. This hometown hero is from Noblesville, Indiana, and has finished 6th and 8th in his last 2 Indianapolis 500 starts. He drives for Indy-only Dreyer & Reinbold Racing in the number 24 Chevrolet. It's podcasting sensation Connor Daly. A familiar name starts in 30th for this year's Indianapolis 500. Pietro Fittipaldi is the grandson of 2-time Indianapolis 500 champion and 2-time Formula One World Drivers champion Emerson Fittipaldi. This 27-year-old from Miami was the fastest Indianapolis 500 rookie in 2021, but has not made an appearance at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway since. Pietro will be driving the number 30 5-Hour Energy Honda for Rahal Letterman Lanigan Racing. The fastest of the cars in the last round shootout on bump day starts on the inside of the final row. This Brit is the only female in this year's field and hit the wall in her qualifying run last Saturday, but she kept her foot to the floor and finished with a lap that kept the car alive. She is hoping to improve on her best finish of 22nd way back in 2012, but she has some work to do. Driving the number 51 Elf Cosmetics Honda for Dale Coyne Racing, it's Catherine Legg. The driver in the middle of row 11 is the 2022 Indianapolis 500 champion and finished 2nd in last year's race. In the offseason, Swede Marcus Ericsson changed teams from Chip Ganassi to Andretti Global and has shown some solid speed this season until he crashed hard in practice and had to go to a backup car. The backup had struggled for speed and nearly missed the field, where in his last chance qualifying session, Ericsson thought the third lap was his final lap and ended his run at reduced speed. With 7 minutes left on bump day, Ericsson bumped his way into the field and left 19-year-old rookie Nolan Siegel to try to find more speed in his Dale Coyne Racing Honda. Graham Rahal was bumped from last year's Indianapolis 500 field, and this year wasn't much better. His father's team once again fielded a car with little speed and has caused tons of head-scratching confusion in the Rahal Letterman Lanigan garage. Bobby Rahal is the 1986 Indianapolis 500 champion, and Graham has finished third in this race twice before. He'll have to have an inspired drive to go from last to first in this year's race. And that is the starting lineup as they have qualified for the 108th running of the Indianapolis 500-mile race. If you learned something or enjoyed this video, give it a like. Enjoy the greatest spectacle in racing, folks. Let's find out what story will be told next.